Hi Steve, I just got this new digital SLR camera, and I'm not sure what all of the buttons and knobs do. It's a Nikon D700. Can you show me what all of these things do?
Nikon D700? Sweet. Yeah, sure, I can help you. What do you want to start with, Heather?
Well, there are several different modes, and I don't know which mode I should use. What is the difference between P, S, A, and M?
Well, M is manual mode. It is called manual because you, the photographer, choose the shutter speed and the aperture.
What is a shutter?
Seriously. Okay, let's back up for a second and cover the basics of how a photograph is made. There are three components that each play a part in creating what is called an exposure. It's called exposure because when we used film, light came through the lens, into the camera, and struck the film. So, the film was exposed to light. Are you following along so far?
Yes. That makes sense. What does the shutter do?
The shutter is a physical moving part inside a digital SLR, and on most modern cameras, it is like a stage curtain that comes down from the top to the stage. It is closed until you want to take a photo, and then it opens for a brief period of time to let the light pass through to the digital sensor behind it. That allows the sensor to record all of the light information passing through the lens.
Great. So, light comes through the lens and shines on the camera's digital sensor when the shutter opens. Got it. What is the A mode used for?
The A mode is called aperture priority mode. Do you know what an aperture is?
No. Does that make me stupid?
Well, yes, but you're a hot blonde in a tiny pink dress, so that makes up for it. Let's keep going. An aperture is the opening in the lens that lets the light come through. It is similar to a curtain, but it is mostly circular. In aperture priority mode, you get to choose the size of the lens opening. The larger you make the aperture opening, the more light can come through. We will talk about the when to choose a larger or smaller aperture later. Is this all making sense so far, hot stuff?
Yes. So, we have a shutter that lets light hit the sensor for a specific amount of time, and we have an opening in the lens that lets light through. But why is it called aperture priority mode?
The priority means that, since you chose the aperture, the camera is not allowed to change it. Aperture priority mode, it is the job of the camera body to determine how long to leave the shutter open, based on how much light is coming through the lens. The smaller the aperture, the longer the shutter will have to remain open, in order to correctly expose the image.
That makes sense. However, you said there were three parts that each play a part in making the image. What is the third?
Okay, the third component is called the ISO speed. The ISO speed controls how sensitive the camera's sensor is to light. The higher you set the ISO, the more sensitive it is to light, meaning that it collects the information faster. The Nikon D700 has a base ISO setting of 200. Each time you double, or have the ISO value, you double or have its sensitivity to light. For example, if you have your ISO set to 200 and the camera says the shutter speed should be 1/100th of a second, and you change the ISO to 400, the sensor is now twice as sensitive, so the shutter only needs to stay open for half of the time. So, it will only stay open for 1/200th of a second.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. All three parts work together to let the required amount of light be recorded to create a correctly exposed image. Nice. Now, what is shutter priority mode?
You choose shutter priority mode when you want to choose the shutter speed and you want the camera to choose the lens aperture size. This is commonly used for sports photography, where a minimum shutter speed is needed to stop motion blur.
Okay, what's the P mode?
The P mode is called program mode. Basically, in this mode, the camera will choose both the shutter speed and the aperture in order to correctly expose the image. You don't have to do anything at all, except set the ISO and you are done. This is commonly referred to as point-and-shoot mode, because all you have to do is point the camera at the subject and press the shutter release button.
All of that makes perfect sense now. Is there anything else I should know related to exposure and these modes?
Absolutely. With newer camera bodies like the D700, D300, D300S, D3, D3S, and D3X, you have another setting which is called Auto ISO. If you turn this option on, the camera will automatically adjust the ISO value and you can choose a minimum shutter speed that the camera should not go below. This is a great feature that can be combined with manual mode, so you can choose the aperture and the shutter and the camera will calculate the required ISO speed. I like to call this the auto manual mode. Actually, Nikon should just add another mode and use the letter I to denote that this is ISO mode. But what do I know?
That is great, Steve. Thank you for all the information.
You are welcome, Heather. You should go out and practice using those modes. You will learn how they work better by actually using them. Once you've done it, feel free to come back with any questions you have about any of the other Nikon D700 features. Next time maybe we could meet at my apartment and have a few bottles of wine while we talk about depth of field. If you like this video and would like me to produce a video on any photography topic, please send me an email. My email address is steve@parkimaging.com. That's STEVE@PARKIMAGING.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.